Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It is time to have a look at the first leaks of the update season. Of course, we had the covert disclosures from the community team at Gaijin, but now it's time to have a look at what the Chinese Gigachad has to say. It seems like this has awoken the beast, and we have some fresh leaks for the next update and also the next event. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at them, go through them, and of course have a bit of fun. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe. Let's get started. So the first part, I thought we would go over some vehicles that have turned up previously. First of all, we have the FA-18, but the news here is that it's only for the US. Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation about where it would turn up. A Swiss version for Germany, maybe something for Britain, maybe something for Sweden in terms of Finland. But at least in this leak list, it only talks about it coming to America, which kind of sucks because it's one of those vehicles that could definitely go across the board. The only question is which variants of it, and also which armaments they'll get access to. Another one that is also on the list is the Strasbourg. Now this one was in the 2025 decal, and also they kind of hinted at it in the covert disclosures, because there aren't many other vehicles it could be for the next naval event. This one is obviously for France. It is another machine of the Dunkirk class, and has access to the quad turrets on the front of it, which are incredibly fun. And then the other vehicle, which should be talked about, is of course the A6E SWIP. This one is back again. If you don't know what the SWIP is by this point, I feel like it's in pretty much every league list. It's a bit of a meme at this point, the good old A6E. It is an improved version of the tram that we have in the game, and it gets access to basically better weapon systems, so it will have more guided munitions on top of it. Another vehicle that is also mentioned here is the Su-30SM, which we have talked about previously, and that is, of course, one of the vehicles which is part of the Su-27 variants, kind of one of the modifications of it, the modernizations, and it gets access to some pretty crazy stuff. It's kind of amazing how many vehicles spawned out of the Su-27. In-game, you of course have the Su-27, the 27SM, the 34, the 33, and soon there'll be the 30SM, which hopefully will rival some of the other nations. This is specifically for Russia and not for anybody else, and also, once again, was in that decal. So the first of the new vehicles is a squadron vehicle for France, and it is a helicopter, which is kind of surprising. We haven't had a squadron vehicle helicopter in a while, and this is the EC665 HAC, the helicopter anti-char. And Sir Bas Maxing has actually made a pretty nice little article on it on the forums if you want to check it out. I thought I'd just read the history of that article for you here, just to kind of show you what it is. Basically, during 1984, the French and West German governments issued a requirement for an advanced anti-tank helicopter. The initial plan was for both countries to procure a total of 427 helicopters, with the West Germans acquiring 212 models of the anti-tank variant named PAH-2, and the French wanting 75 HAPs, or support and escort helicopters, and 140 HACs, which are anti-tank helicopters. The development program was effectively cancelled during 1986 due to spiraling costs, and it was calculated that supplying the German Air Forces with an equivalent number of US-produced McDonnell Douglas AH-64 Apache attack helicopters would have been considerably cheaper. But that Apache idea didn't last very long, as in 1987 the project was restarted, and in late 1989 5 prototypes were contracted. During Le Bourget 1991, a prototype was shown. That prototype was none other than the HAC, displaying Triget, Mistrals, and other weapons, which is pretty fun. Unfortunately, after Spain decided to order the HAD instead of the HAC Eurocopters in 2003, France decided to stop any production of the aircraft, stopping any progression of it. So this vehicle can have access to Triget ATGMs, Mistral AAMs, and possibly Stinger AAMs, some unguided rockets, and of course some gun pods too. Also, it has access to a DAV pulse Doppler radar, and the HUMS, and an IR jammer as well, giving it extra potential. An SPH for Russia has also turned up. This is the 2S19 MSTAS, which I cannot stand saying, so we need to come up with a better name. I'm going for Mr. S. Basically, this is a very modern SPH. It's based on a very weird setup, and what I mean by this is it combines parts of the T-72 and also the T-80 together. Then there's a big turret superstructure built on it with, of course, a big donkey gun as well. So this is quite a well-armored SPH. It has the 152mm gun on it, the 2A64, and can fire a variety of different rounds, which are around the place. Of course, this is mainly used by Russia, but is used by other countries, such as Venezuela, around the world, which is quite fun. There's also a bunch of different variants that it can kind of turn up with as well, which is really cool. Doesn't have the best fire rate, but I mean, it's an SPH, so doesn't really need it. The vehicle itself as well does have access to a few other things. Surprisingly, it has a machine gun on the top of it, which is not usually standard for these types of things. So it'll be another high-tier SPH, which will have access to pretty powerful rounds. We also have a premium tank for Italy, and what it is it's a copy of the C1 Ariete, so the one that you see at 11.7 at rank 7 for Italy, but it'll have access to a camouflage net, which is really cool. So you'll have access to a really lovely vehicle in the form of it. I mean, I actually enjoy the Ariete. I know it's one of those which isn't generally very good, but I do like the style of it, and with access to a camo net, it kind of gets additional style on top of it, so that would be really nice, and also another premium to grind through the Italian tech tree with. Another vehicle on the list is the Warspite. This is, of course, for the UK, and it is part of the Queen Elizabeth class battleships. This one actually got leaked before, but it was wrong. So the one that was actually there was the Barham, which was the event vehicle for Steel Baron. So the HMS Warspite is supposed to be coming now, so it'll probably be in the standard tech tree. It's obviously very similar to the Barham. The difference is the Warspite could have a late war kind of modification on it, giving it way more AA, which would be quite fun. It has the same standard setup, 4 twin 15-inch guns, has a bunch of 6-inch guns on it as well. This is a First World War battleship which ended up serving into the Second World War and then was removed out of service post-Second World War. So in its refit, it got a ton of crazy stuff. So 4 quadruple Vickers sets up, 4 octuple 40mm, and of course some 4-inch twin AA guns as well. So they just gave it a lot more for the kind of action. So very much an AA setup for it. So yeah, there's a bunch of really cool stuff that the Warspite has done. It's one of those machines with a fantastic history, which I would highly recommend reading about because it's just so amazingly kept. And I'm sure there's many books on the Warspite as well because of the fact it took part in both wars and saw a lot of action. There are also 6 vehicles which are covered in Shroud, and unfortunately no even teasers for those, but this would probably be about half an update here, what we've seen. So my guess is this is probably going to be the stuff for the teaser trailer or something like that, because normally that's what turns up. So thank you, of course, to the Chinese Gigachad for giving us this information. It's always lovely to see it and see what's going on. As more information comes out about the update, I'll make sure to let you guys know. And since we haven't had any devlogs yet, look forward to those as they come around. Having the big covert disclosures was really cool to learn about the mechanics and stuff that they're adding in that terms. But now, let's get into the vehicles and see what's going on. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche,
Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.